Secretary, the White House has made its goal very clear. They want this country vaccinated, and they're not forcing people to do it. Now, I've called these mandates a workaround, which is not a negative term. It is a way to achieve a goal without violating anything, without forcing anything on anyone, a way to get a huge amount of people vaccinated legally. How do you see this?
Good morning. First of all, it's great to see you. I see this as a huge step forward to getting people back to work and finally recovering, having this economy recover. It takes the guesswork out. It is probably the most quickest, easiest, cheapest thing that we could do to get Americans back to work. You know, getting vaccinated is cheap, it's free, it's effective, and it is the single biggest thing that is holding back our economy right now. So I'm proud of the president for doing it. Many businesses are lauding the decision. And I think that we're going to see a big impact, a positive impact in our economy on account of this decision.
I'm puzzled by these people who continue to say they're forced to get vaccinated here. There's always been a choice. If you do not want to get vaccinated, you can work from home. You can homeschool your children. You can shop online. So where is this coming from? People saying, I'm now being forced to be vaccinated. We never forced vaccinations on kids in school. If you didn't want to vaccinate your kids, you could homeschool them. And people have done it for years.
You're exactly right. Nobody is being forced. In fact, if you don't get vaccinated, you just have to get tested on a weekly basis. But the reality is the science is crystal clear on this. Get vaccinated. These vaccines are incredibly effective. They're effective. They are free. They work. And it's unacceptable. It is unacceptable now that people aren't getting vaccinated. We need our kids in schools. We need the schools open. We need people to get back to work. We need people flying on airplanes. We need people in restaurants. We have too many Americans still out of work. And this is a simple, effective shot in the arm, if you will, that our economy needs. And there's no reason not to get vaccinated at this point in time. That being said, you're not being forced. You can work from home. You can get tested on a weekly basis. So I just think this is just smart public policy and great leadership by the president.
Our workplace safety agency, OSHA, was not able to enforce their requirements across the board when COVID first hit. Now they're in charge of enforcing this. We're talking 80 million people. How do you make sure that enforcement is happening?
They're on top of it. Secretary Walsh is working hard on this in combination with the White House. They are right now working around the clock to get the regulations and guidance out there. So that will happen. But I think, you know, the fact that the president did a presidential address and got the word out, you're already seeing this having an effect. Businesses know. It's actually crystal clear. If you are an employer with 100 people or more, your employees have to get vaccinated. So there's no need to wait. You ought to go ahead and get that done.
Are you concerned at all this could have a worse impact on the worker shortage we currently have? People will quit their jobs?
I am not. You know, we have challenges in this economy right now. Supply chains, worker shortages, you know, people still afraid to fly, people afraid to go back to work. All of that can be alleviated if everybody gets vaccinated. So yes, there is a challenge now with people not going back to work. A lot of that is because people are afraid to go back to work. So I actually think in the short term and definitely in the long term, this is unquestionably going to help our economy. It's probably the single most important thing we can do to help our economy, get people back to work, kids back to school, people out and about again. So no, I think the benefits vastly outweigh any potential cost to the labor shortage.
I want to switch gears and talk infrastructure. You have been speaking to the business community. Business leaders certainly want the first infrastructure deal, the hard infrastructure deal. They know it'll be good for cities, rural America, their business in general, but they don't seem to want to pay for it in any way. How do you convince the business community they've got to be part of the pay-fors here?
You know, this package in totality is good for business. I talk to business leaders every day. What do they tell me? They want every American to have broadband. They want every American to have digital skills. They want investments in childcare so that their employees, particularly their female employees, can stay in the workforce, be productive, and get promoted. So this is unquestionably good for business. I know that because businesses tell me we want more job training, we want investments in infrastructure, we want a digitally literate workforce. Well, that doesn't come free. And the reality is there's not a business leader out there who would support the president for saying we ought to make these investments with a blank check and not pay for them. You have a responsible president who is saying, let's make investments that are good for business and let's live within our means and pay for them. So the reality is, if they don't like the exact details of the president's proposal on how to pay for it, then do the responsible thing. Do what you would do every day in your own business. Come to the table and help us solve the problem. But to just oppose this is irresponsible. And honestly, it's disingenuous because this package is actually tailor-made for what businesses want. So I say, let's just get it done.
When you say come to the table means negotiate. And you've got some Democratic senators like Bernie Sanders who said we shouldn't negotiate. It's $3.5 trillion or close to it or bust. And he said there's a real chance that you're going to end up with nothing if Democrats don't all get on the same page. He's clearly looking at Senator Joe Manchin, who's not comfortable with $3.5 trillion. But if Democrats, let's say, do all get on the same page, it's $3.5 trillion, you're going to lose Republicans. How worried are you here?
You know, this is how legislation gets made. I'm smiling because as a governor for 6 years, this is exactly what I did with my legislature. It's what every public executive does. President Biden has been crystal clear. He is willing to negotiate. He himself is at the table making phone calls. I'm part of the Jobs Cabinet. I talk to members of Capitol Hill every day. We want to negotiate. The only thing that is unacceptable is inaction. The president put forth his vision. It's a $3.5 trillion plan. It's bold because it meets the moment. We have a crisis. He believes, and I agree, we need to be bold to meet the moment. Having said that, we need to get something done. So come to the table, negotiate, as you say. But shame on us if we don't get something done.
If inaction is the enemy, why not take the $1 trillion deal you have in hand and then work on the next?
Because we need both. And again, our position, the president's position is clear. We need both. And Speaker Pelosi has said she's committed to passing both. So I think we work very hard on the first $1 trillion deal. It's a historic investment. That needs to get done, and it will get done. But also, we need the human capital investments. You know yourself. How many business leaders tell you they can't find the talent they need? They need people to have digital skills. We need digital apprenticeships. Yeah, we do. That's in the president's plan. Get behind it. It's good for business.